Hi, I'm Judy Elmore, and I'm a freelance editor with Black Wolf Editorial Services. I've been showing you over the course of a variety of different videos how to use Scrivener to your full advantage. In today's video, the last in this particular series, I'm going to show you some of the differences between the Mac version of Scrivener and the Windows version of Scrivener. Now, for those of you who've been watching the videos from the beginning, you'll know that I happen to have a Windows version of the system. But my writing partner, Ann Bell Feinstein, is on Mac. And what we're doing at the moment, what you see, is Ann's shared screen with me. Say hi, Ann.
Hi, Judy. How you doing today?
Right, so for those of you who are wondering, how are you going to be able to tell the difference really quickly? Well, if you're looking at the Apple version of Scrivener, all you have to do is look in the top left-hand corner and you'll see a little Apple icon. And if I bring up my Scrivener, you'll see I've got in the top left-hand corner of my one, I have a Scrivener icon. So this is the Windows version, and of course, we're now again looking at the Mac version. So let's get started with some of these differences between the Mac and the Windows version. Well, we've been talking about in the previous videos how we can set some of the preferences or the options. So, Anne, where do we find the preferences under the Mac?
For the preferences under the Mac, you go to Scrivener, and it's right there.
Well,
Preferences.
that was simple. So, under Windows, we're going to go under Tools, and then we're going to go into Options. Nice and simple, and there we go. So, what we've got, what we wanted to look at the moment is we do have a different series of different tabs here. And under the Mac version, you have a few more different tabs because you have a few more options. Now, if I just cancel this for the moment and then minimize my Scrivener, and do you want to take us through some of the differences that we have for Mac? Tell us about how we can set our editor preferences.
Okay, well, over in Editor, we have editing options, smart copy paste. There's a whole variety of things here. I don't recall what's different between this and the Windows version because, well, I'm a Mac user.
Of course.
I'll leave that to you to discuss, but this is your editor thing. The screen I find myself going to most over in Scrivener is right here, formatting. If you're like me and you're writing with a partner, neither one of us likes to look at text in the same size.
No, and I will be changing yours very shortly.
Yes, I know you've already told me. Your size formats, yike! But that's the thing. If, say, I want the line spacing to be different, I just literally click here and I can change my line spacing. From anything to half a space between lines, I'm going to single space it just for the moment. And you see that the text here in this little preview window jumped to single space. And if, say, I liked the single space, I don't. But we're going to pretend for a moment that I do. And then we're going to go over here and let's see. We're always yelling about Times New Roman.
Yeah, you
Where's
don't like
Times?
Times New Roman. I know you don't. There it is.
Times New Roman, 12-point font.
Which is what I like to work in, but I know you don't. So,
Yes, I know. So manage, save preferences, save all preferences as preset. I'm going to call this one, because Judy likes it so much, I'm going to call it Judy. Now, if Judy was to sit down at my computer, one of the first things I would do, where I think we're done over here, one of the first things I would do for her, and let's see,
it's under Documents.
I was going to say it's under Documents, I believe. Yeah, convert formatting to default text style. And there we go. Not my cup of tea.
So, you're going to quickly change your settings back to what you like to work in.
Yes, so we're going back to preferences, back to formatting, out of this chaos. I always have to click down on the text for it to do anything nicely for me. And then once I've got my line spacing, now I want to change my font because Judy will be the first one to tell you I don't like Times New Roman 12-point font.
Now, for those of you who are looking at the videos before, we did discuss this in the third episode when we were talking about the editor and smart quotes, how you can actually set in Scrivener for your editor window, the window that you're editing and putting in all your manuscript into, you can set that to whatever you want, and it's not going to change in your compiled settings. The compile will overwrite whatever fonts you have, so you can use standard manuscripts. So that's one of the things that's nice about Scrivener. You can operate in whatever you like to look at. So Anne's setting it back to what she likes to work with.
All right. I can read this again. I can deal with this now. And that's something, one of the first things I do when I get a project back Judy's had for a while that I've been working on, first thing I do, give me my presets back.
Right, and for the windows. Now, for those of you who are wondering, Anne and I, we're both working on a fillet at the moment, but for the sake of this video, I've actually copied the fillet project over to my desktop. So the copy that you're seeing at the moment that I'm using is the one that's on my desktop. It's a local copy. But we will show you at the end of this video how you can do collaborative projects. But one of the things is that you share your projects in Dropbox, and Dropbox will lock it. So Scrivener will lock the program, so only one person can open that particular project that is open in Dropbox, which is why at the moment I'm working on a desktop copy, because Anne's working on the copy that's on the Dropbox. So if I just go and change this, because I am not going to cope. Oh, I need to make sure that that's highlighted. That's better. I can see it now. I can view it now. I like this version better. But that's me. Right.
But that's why Scrivener has that option.
That is exactly why Scrivener has that option.
Now, for those of you who are tuning into this video that didn't see the Mac videos, the multicolored text came from a Mac-only feature called Revisions, which is discussed in a previous video. So if you're wondering why I've got rainbow text, that's why.
But we're going to quickly show you just for the moment. If I was to select this bit of text, I can, under the Windows version, change the color of the text to be anything I want. I just hold that down, and if I want to, I can make it purple. So we can have purple text. If we really want to. I could make it pink if you really want to, but I'm not going to do that. So we can have multicolored text on the Windows, but we're not going to torture Anne with that one. So carrying right along, under the other features that I wanted to show you, under our options, under the Windows version, under the corrections tab, I have these options about spelling. Now, one of the things that's important for me is the fact that I can change my dictionary very quickly between US English or UK English. And of course, I've got a Canadian English dictionary already installed as well. For me, that's important. I live in New Zealand and we use UK English as our standard. But of course, with my collaborative projects and a lot of my editorial work that I am doing and my own personal writing, which is looking at being published in the States, I need to be able to swap between US English and UK English very quickly. Under Mac, it's not so simple. So
it can be done, though.
It can be done. And what do we have to do?
All right. On Scrivener for Mac, if you want to change your dictionary, I didn't say it was simple. You have to go into your system preferences. Now, you have to go to language and region, which in my Mac is in the top row. So when we click on language and region, my preferred languages are, I already have US English, of course, which came pre-installed. Then I have UK English. If I wanted to add another one, I would simply click on the plus sign, and it would bring up the options of what I could add. See? And there's a whole list of them. All right. So since I really don't want to change anything, I'm just going to back out of this.
Carrying right along, spell checking. Spell checking under Scrivener, under the Mac, what do we have?
Okay, I have to go to my edit menu, and then I've got spelling and grammar.
Oh, now I'm jealous. Well, actually, maybe not, because the grammar may not be fantastic. If it's anything like the Microsoft Word grammar checker, I think I might leave it.
I'll put it this way. I keep it up. It at least catches the silly typos. Like if I try and spell computer with two P's.
Oh, well, that's going through and having the spell checker. No, that you have to have.
See, it actually automatically corrected that for me.
But the grammar checker, maybe not.
Like I said, it's one of those things that it can be a bit dodgy. And just as a reminder, and I'm sure Judy will back me up on this one, grammar checker in an application is no substitute for editing and reading your own work.
Definitely not. So, under the Windows version, we do have our spell checker again, and our spell checker is under our tools. So we have tools, but we only have spelling. We don't have grammar. And mine normally comes up as red squiggly lines. So if I was to put into this computer with two P's, again, I get my red squiggly line. It doesn't replace it, but I can right hand click, and oh my gosh, it's gone off the screen. Sorry about that, guys. But that's okay. Right. So, and I can automatically change it that way. But we're not going to do that now because we don't want computer in there. Carrying right along, what other tools have we got? I know. How about the scratch pad? I haven't covered the scratch pad in any of these videos before, and the scratch pad is a very useful feature. Anne, would you like to tell us about the scratch pad?
Okay, Scratchpad, one of the things I like about it, now, this was a special setup of Scrivener for these recordings, so I have no other notes in here. Just made some notes about Philip. And yes, Philip, for the record, is asleep right now. And yes, I did give him a can of cat food to get him to go paw off to bed. And right now, he is a good kitty. But the cool thing about Scratchpad is persistent. And I think Judy's going to go into this a bit more. If I may say I need to remember exactly how I described Philip, I can put that bit of text in here, close this project, open another project, and guess what? My notes are still here. But for the Mac users, it's under Window.
Okay.
And yes, I can add a new note. And as you see, all the information about Philip has gone away. And I have a new note titled Diana, my other cat's name. First thing I came up with, Judy.
Fair enough. So the scratch pad under Windows is under, believe it or not, it's under, guess what? Tools yet again. So if I open up my scratch pad, now I do have some other things here because I've only got the one install sitting on my machine. And these are for my own personal writing projects, so I'm not going to go into details of what they are, but I've got this demo little project here. Now I can go through and put whatever text I want. But I can also create another demo here. And on Windows, now this is one of the features that under a Mac you don't have. And it was quite nice to see a feature that Mac doesn't have, but Windows does have. I can actually do a screen dump. So I can go and grab my machine and I can grab an area. And just grab that and do a screen dump, and then of course save and close, and look at that, I now have this in that screen dump. So that can be really handy if you are coming across something that's, say you're doing a demo like this and you want to have an exact of what you were doing for your Scrivener project. You can do it that way. It's quite nice and simple. And you can import that into your file by doing this send to file, and it will copy it through. You can copy it to anywhere in your project you want to, or append it to any bit of text you want to as well. So there is quite some nice things about working with the scratch pads. One thing that I should mention is that the scratch pad is only persistent to one person. So if you are actually working in a collaborative project, your partners are not going to see what's on your scratch pad. Only you will, because it's not attached to any one project, only attached to the scratch pad itself. So, carrying right along to the next thing, how about we talk about special characters? Anne, what does the Mac have about special characters?
Mac's got a lot of them. Now, I do not recommend writing your manuscript in emoji. I don't think you're going to get a lot of agents, but I'm going to scroll through a bunch of them here. Yes, I can put in smileys. Now, it does close after one character, which means I have to go back to edit emojis and symbols. Now, not all of these are going to show up for Judy. But it's great if you need to put in a symbol. We even have flags here in Mac, which I find is interesting. But yes, it's got a whole list of them. And as you standard signs and standard symbols, I put in the copyright symbol. Now, it automatically did the frequently used one for me. And we're going to put that in, and then we're going to throw in one more just to be amusing. And I'll drop in a heart. And why not one more, Judy, and then I'll let you take over from here. And I'm going to leave these here when I send this file over to Judy, so you can see which ones go through and which ones show up as squares.
Which will be interesting because I do know that not all special characters within Mac will show up on Windows and vice versa. So it will be interesting to see which ones I see and which ones I don't. Under the Windows, ours are in a different location and we have a different set of characters. So if I go to my edit and I have the character map, the character map is actually the character map that's associated with the Windows system itself. So that only brought up my character map. And the way this works is if I scroll down, at the moment, we'll just pick Wingdings because we can. We'll go over here. There's some nice little funky ones. Oh, look at that. There's a nice, oh, I like that one. It's a pencil. So we're going to select that one and we go copy. And then we come into our text and we literally paste, so it's a Control V. So it is a different methodology for doing this. If we wanted to put in more, we can bring up the character map again and we can pick, say, I don't know, we can pick a disc, because that's pretty cool. I like the disc. And we can pick a pair of scissors and maybe the bell. And we can copy all of them.
Oh, I like bells.
And we can paste all of them at the same time. So if you were wanting to write emoji, I suppose Windows would work better for you, but again, it's probably not recommended. Okay, so
unless you're working with an 8-year-old.
Unless you're working with an 8-year-old, yeah. Okay. So some of the other tools that we have and some of the other differences. What have we got under writing tools, Anne?
Okay, again, I'm back to my edit tab. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to writing tools. For those of you confused about the speech, that was covered in the Mac only video that we did previously.
Yes, it was.
So, but here's my writing tools.
That's not many. I think I've got more. You have the name generator, which is important. And the name generator was covered in the episode number 7 for name generator. And that was nice and simple, and it is exactly the same features on the name generator. There is no differences between the Mac and the Windows version on that one, so that's pretty cool. But under Windows, My Tools, guess where they are? It's under Tools. How funny is that? Writing, I have a few more options here. I can look up in Google, I can look up in my dictionaries, bits and pieces, search in Wikipedia, search in Google, and of course my name generator is down the bottom. So I do have a few more options, and I think it's because Windows is a little bit more, I don't know, maybe it's been a bit more with internet integration. I'm not sure. Alright, one of the features I wanted to go over was the project targets. So under both systems you will find project targets under the project menu, project targets. Under the Word version we can set our targets here of what we want. We can change it to being whether we want in characters or words. But a session target is for the duration of time that Scrivener is open. If you close the Scrivener project, then your word count will reset. That is not the case in Mac. What's the difference, please?
Okay, project. And show project targets. Now, I did set a target, and evidently I've written 2 words out of 14 for my session target. But I'm going to flick over here to, by the way, to set these targets, I just click edit. And then if I was going to make any changes, I'd then just click apply. So we're going to bump this word count up to 187. I wanted to be something simple I could hit while during this video. If you're doing NaNoWriMo, of course, you'd set it to 50,000.
Of course.
So we're going to apply new targets. And my session target, I am actually going to also edit, which I just clicked on the number 14. We're going to make that 16. And click apply. Now, under options, I can, hang on, let me close this and move this window over so you can see it just a bit better. There we go. Just to make sure you could realize you're seeing the whole window and nothing was running off the screen. I have the option of resetting session count at midnight, on project closed, on next day open, or never automatically reset session counts. Now, I can also set a deadline, which, like I said, I don't know if Windows has this. I've never played with Windows. So we're going to set the deadline, and we're going to change this to and I could have used the up arrows, but I just chose to type it. It was faster.
And just as a mental note before we get carried away, because I was about to say something about this, for those who are in the States, that's obviously US date time. For those that are in the UK, Australia, or New Zealand, it is the other way around. So we've got month, day, year, and I'm so used to seeing day, month, year. So I was about to say something about that, but it's like, no, that's right. She's US dates. No.
I could allow text written anywhere in my project account, but I do, considering I don't want my research notes to count, I do keep the count documents included in compile only checked, and target applies to compile group only. So if I type 1,000 words in my research, it's not going to count towards my target. And then I've already checked the show target notifications. And it also does allow it to automatically calculate my targets from my draft deadline.
Oh, that's just
so
not
we're going
fair.
to close out of this.
That is just not fair.
And see, I've got 0 days left, and I need 16 more words to make this happen. All right, I think we can hit this goal. What do you think, Judy?
I think so, but that's just not fair for you to have that feature. Yeah, no, we can't do that.
And see, I misspelled perfect on purpose, and look, it's popping up with an option. I don't want it to auto-change perfect because I think it's just cute with Philip. If I was really typing a manuscript, I'd let it do it. And see, now I get the
red squiggly line.
And look,
target
achieved
in the corner. Oh, that is awesome. No, we don't have that feature in Windows, but we can set our targets. And one of the other things we can set, and this is in both systems, so Anne, can you set the target for the document itself? Can you remember how to do this?
Oh boy, you would put me on the spot.
No. Down in the bottom corner of your editor window, you have what looks like a bullseye. Keep going over.
Oh, there it is.
Click that, and it will bring up a dialog where you can enter in a target.
5 words. Show target notifications again, because I just think it's cool to see that pop up.
Now, you are aware that you've already achieved your target for this document, because you have 193 words and you only had to have 5. So you're not going to see your notifications again, sweetie.
Ah, so we need to make it
How about you
We'll
make
go
it
with 200
200?
words. And again, document target achieved. And here's my pop-up right over here. And I also heard a little bing, and hey, you've done something. Wait a minute. Now let's see something. Under document target, you're now back under my goal.
You are indeed.
And
And
now
you
I'm
get the
back at my
target
goal.
again.
That is a cool feature, and I believe it is available on both versions. Or Judy would have been able to tell me exactly where to find it. Thank you, Judy.
The notifications itself is not under the Windows version, but being able to set the targets for the documents and being able to set the target for the project and your session are available under both systems. However, the definition of a session for Windows is from the time frame that Scrivener is open to the time frame Scrivener is closed. That is your session. So it's a little bit frustrating from that perspective because we don't have these added little features, but hey, we have workarounds. Now, one feature that is under Mac that isn't under the Windows is page view. What does
Yes.
page view look like?
Page view. So I'm going to show page view. And right now I have it set up to show me 2 pages, which of course if I had text, there would be something over there. If I want it under single page view, I'd go to page view and check 2 pages across, and now we're back to a single page. So I can actually tell where the pages are in my manuscript without having to do a compile and figure it out.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides, I have to admit, of the Mac version, of the Windows version, sorry, where somebody would tell me that on page 53 I have some typo. And I'm like, which one is page 53? And I have to go and take a look at the compiled copy so I can work it out. Anne has the advantage, she doesn't have to do that. She can actually look at this page view here.
I'm going to turn this off. All I do is go back to page view. Now I could do the keyboard shortcut, but I just find with this complicated series of characters, it's just easier to go back to the menu and click hide page view. And now we're back to the way things normally look.
What we need to do now, and this is most important when you're doing collaborative work, is we need to take a snapshot.
Okay. And I already have my inspector open. I could close it. If yours is closed, see in the Mac, you see the little inspector thing up at the top. Just click on it. It pops right up. So I've got my notes, my references, my keywords, custom metadata, snapshots, and comments and footnotes. So I'm just going over to snapshots, and I took one. Now say I want to title this, and I'm going to put goal because I met my goal. It's just something to put there. No rhyme or reason, Judy.
Fair enough. Now the reason why we recommend that you use snapshots is because this gives you an idea of what changes you have made, and you're keeping track of every revision as you're doing your editing process. Now this is important for Anne and myself when we're doing collaborative work, because one of us might change something in a scene and we want to know what the other person's done. Before we get carried away, I'm just going to quickly open up my Scrivener, just so we can see. You can see that I've got this sort of state here. Now I'm going to close this project down, and Anne is going to close the Scrivener project that she has open, and I'm going to show you that we can easily collaborate on this project. So if we want to both close the projects down,
all right, so I'm going to, I like to go to File and just do Close Project, which will automatically save it.
yes, it will. Okay, and I have now updated, so I am going to open up this version. And see, we now have Anne's funky formats. And
don't think they're funky.
take a look. As we suspected, a few of those would not show up. A few of those special characters would not show up, and they turned into squares. That is one of the downsides of working in Mac versus Windows. So just be careful with special characters if you're doing collaborative across multiple platforms. This is one of the things that can happen. Now look at all this added work that I have here. Okay, and if I open my inspector window, go to my snapshots, I have that snapshot that Anne just made. Now I'm going to add in a line here.
And yes, for those of you watching the video, we are having a bit of fun with this. This is not a real manuscript. This is a few sentences about my cat to have something to play with you guys.
Of course. Now I'm going to take another snapshot.
And if any, and my Dropbox was updating.
Not yet. I'm closing it down now. Okay. I have now closed it down. And it's all synced.
Okay, I'm on the Scrivener thing. I don't want to have to go find the file. So I'm just going to go to Open Recent, and we're going to go to Philip. And okay, so Anne is fun too. You never know what she will do. Got it. Yeah, I am kind of unpredictable.
So this is just proving that you can work in a collaborative environment across multiple platforms. Things like templates do not transfer across multiple platforms. There are different files for the different templates for the different Mac system and for the Windows system. That has to do with the way the file structures are working within the system itself. But a Scrivener project can easily transfer across multiple platforms, and that's why we have lots of fun. Right, there is one more feature that's on the Mac that is not on the Windows, and it has to do with these snapshots, which is why we were doing this. Anne, please tell us what this difference is.
I have the compare. I can compare snapshots. And what it will do is it will show me what has changed.
Okay.
See, it shows me down here the sentences that have changed between the goal snapshot and what's currently on my screen. Now, if I want to go back one more snapshot, I pick my snapshot and I hit compare, and now we're going to have all kinds of stuff highlighted down here. And of course, all the special characters showed up for me because I put them in. So even though they were on her system at one point, when it came back, I have all my characters. But this is one of those fun things I like because you can see what's different.
Which makes it easy for collaborative work. And it also makes it easy for editing work and keeping track of what editing you have done, so you can see where you've come from and what has changed along the way. That is the snapshot feature, and that is the way it's meant to work, and that's one of the advantages of it. It's a revision control. Is there any other features you can think of that are unique to Mac? Because this is our last chance.
The one thing I do want to point out is this mobile sync button up here. Now, I do have an iPad, and I have supplied Judy with a few iPad screenshots for her to put in the end of this video. We are not able to do a full video on the iPad version. It is very new. It's still a little buggy, but please, 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 just a reminder to everyone, do not use Google Drive, use Dropbox. People have lost entire manuscripts using Google Drive. Scrivener doesn't like it, so stay away. However, I would recommend you do your compile, your export your Word document, stick it in multiple places, back up your work.
Definitely. And for those who are using the iOS system with Scrivener, this may sound like a really, really silly thing to actually keep in mind, But you do actually have to have the Dropbox app installed as well, not just
Yes.
the Scrivener program, because it won't work if you don't do that.
I'll put it this way, if you don't have it, it's 50-50 odds. If you do have it, you got it. You're good to go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anne, for helping me with these Mac versions of the Scrivener videos. I am in the process of working out what needs to go into a second series of videos of how to use Scrivener. So if there's anything in particular, any features in particular that you would like to know how they work, do let me know. You can contact me through the website of blackwolfeditorial.com, or you can drop me a line on Twitter, and that's at Judy L. Moore. Or you can contact me through Facebook, and I have my own Facebook page. You just search for Judy L. Moore, and I'm sure you can find me. Meanwhile, this has been fun, and I look forward to the next lot of series when I finally get there. Thank you. At the time of this video's release, Literature and Latte had just released a new version of Scrivener for iOS. That's good news for those of you who are on iPads and iPhones. You can now use Scrivener on your mobile devices. Do be advised that the system is still a little buggy and the developers are working hard to make the system nice and stable. But these are just some of the images that you might see if you are using Scrivener on your iPhones or iPads. This video concludes the first series in the tips and tricks for Scrivener. If you have any ideas of what you would like to see, any features you would like to know more about, please contact us at blackwolfeditorial.com.